Welcome in, guys. Bulletproof Mindset, episode 11, here with Tristan Dlabik.
Let's go.
Happy birthday, brother. I want to start there.
Thanks, bro.
Last minute, flew in, committed. I appreciate that, brother. Daniel was supposed to be here with us today. Man of many talents, but changing the weather ain't one of them, I don't think.
No, not at all. Where was he supposed to come out of?
I think so. He was just in Rome.
Yeah.
He's been
he goes
flying
everywhere.
Bro, it's ridiculous. I
Yeah,
don't
he
know how
goes
that man
everywhere.
breathes. I think he was in Rome, and I know he's supposed to be in Bangladesh first thing in the morning.
That's crazy.
So it was literally like pod, and as soon as we got done, he was on a flight.
Yeah.
So I think flying from Miami for him was because he was going to fly from Rome to Miami and then here and then Bangladesh.
That's insane.
So he just he didn't have the time.
Yeah.
And obviously, the weather conditions you guys were dealing with. So don't worry, guys. We'll get Daniel on here with Tristan here in the coming future. But yeah, Tristan, let's start from where we were. You've been in the insurance space for a couple years.
Yeah.
Kind of give everybody a little bit of insight. How you got in, where you're coming from, how it started.
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of paraphrase in regard to how I got into the insurance industry, I was probably 18 years old. I was expelled from high school, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was uploading my high school resume, or not high school resume, my high school diploma as a resume onto different job sites like Indeed. And my mom actually got my diploma for me. I was working at UPS and just being a bad kid, you know what I mean, just doing crazy things throughout the day and the night. But my day job was UPS. But I thought to myself, man, I want more out of this life. And so my last hope, my last ditch effort is I'm going to upload this high school diploma and hope that somebody reaches out, something happens. And I got an automated email from an insurance company, and I thought it was a scam. But I drove out, they had Maseratis in the parking lot, so I get excited. I'm 18 years old, and just thinking to myself, man, they're definitely not going to hire me. There's Maseratis in the parking lot. They obviously didn't read my resume. All it is a high school diploma, so with a 2.0 GPA, So I was thinking to myself, they're not going to hire me. I walk in, I got braids. I'm 150 pounds, graduating high school, and I had no idea what I was walking into. So I walk in. Office is full of 30, 40-year-olds suited up. I'm in some cheap suit that I got from a store called Gabriel Brothers. It's like a
Ross, right?
Yeah, it's like a Ross, like a dollar store type deal, like a Goodwill. And I'm sitting in the interview room, in the waiting room, and I'm just thinking to myself, dude, I'm definitely not getting hired. But I go through the interview process. They tell me you can make a bunch of money. We sell life insurance. I had no idea what life insurance was.
Right.
No idea. And they're like, you have to get a life insurance license. And I was like, does that cost money? And then I'm like, oh, man, they're scammers. You know what I mean? They're trying to sell me a course. But then they explain, oh, no, you get a life insurance license so you can actually legally sell the insurance. I call my grandma, my mom. We round up some money. We didn't have the $150 combined to start start everything for the course. So we get the course, and I knock it out 24 hours, get my license, and make my first sale within a week. So.
Okay. And I obviously, a lot of people don't understand this, and you said it yourself. You have the same thought process, paying for a new life. It's essentially what you're doing when you get into life insurance. Yeah, you got to pay for the license. You got to pay for your courses. You got to put some type of risk on the board in order for this to really be worth it for you. So when you got in, doing what you did to where you're at now, I mean, what was your rise to stardom really like? Because you're one of the pioneers in this industry. You do pretty well. A lot of people know who you are, and you've built a pretty massive team in a short period of time.
Yeah.
What would you say to everybody that's getting into the life insurance industry, whether it's honestly life insurance sales, door to door, whatever it is? What is your advice in terms of getting a team built? Because everybody says just reach out to guys. That only gets you so far.
Yeah.
What has really been that clicking factor for you to get people to want to follow Tristan?
So I think that's a really good question, because I think on that often. I think on what I would have done differently with the time that I've had elapsed, especially on my birthday. You know what I mean? I'm 26 years old today, and I'm thinking to myself, what would I have done differently from 18, 19 to 26 in the insurance game, and just in life in general. When it comes to scaling and developing and building in your insurance deal, your sales deal, your business in general, the first thing is always leadership from the front. I've spent the last 24 months very deeply studying individual leaders. A lot of people, I've read a significant amount of books and things like that, but one of my favorite things to do is I'll get like a little bug and I'll get obsessed on like diving in specifically on studying the autobiographies of like leaders of like, what did this individual do? Why did they do it? I studied every president over the last year, and then I went even deeper and I looked up like just who were like the 10 greatest leaders in history. And one of the ones I fell upon that I just absolutely just love their story was Alexander the Great. And I'll share a story with you and that it relates to just sales and building your business. Is they were marching through, I believe it was present-day Egypt, and they're going to fight this king, Cyrus, and the army is absolutely parched, right? So they have no water, they have no resources, people are dying, men are dying from starvation, they're dying from malnutrition, they have access to no resources. They're literally marching hundreds of miles to go fight this war. He sends out his generals to go look for water. They come back with one helmet of water. He takes the helmet of water, he looks back at his thousands of what I would call agents, his thousands of warriors.
Right.
And they look at him, they're staring at him. The water looks delicious. He looks at the water, he looks at them, takes the helmet of water, and he dumps it out. The army goes absolutely insane. They go insane. They cheer, they're excited, and they know that this leader is somebody that's not going to eat and feed themselves before the army eats and gets taken care of and drinks and gets that replenishing resources that they need and they desire. And so like that's leadership 101. It's like if you're not willing to lead from the front, put that producer cap on and go out and lead in every aspect of your life, especially in the selling. Like there's no point in you getting into sales and getting into a business and say, hey, you should come do what I'm doing. Well, what revenue have you generated from yourself? That's where it starts. And then to complement that is your character. You being a good person is everything. I know a lot of people out there that have great companies, great opportunities, better contracts than I can offer, better resources than I can offer, but they're just a piece of shit. And you can't build anything with bad people.
Right.
And you it's hard to identify right off rip, but the sooner you can identify like, hey, is this a good, genuine person with good energy, an honest person that I can go to war with, that I can build with, that I can trust with my money, my girl, my entire being? Can I trust this person if I were to leave them in a room alone with these things?
Protect that, right.
And most people can't. So what I realized in these years is like, okay, you can build something super special, even if it's mediocre. Mediocre contracts, mediocre product, mediocre systems with a great person.
Right.
But if you find yourself with a great system, great products, great company, great contracts, and you're partnering with bad people, you're going to go nowhere fast. You're going to find yourself in an imploding situation.
Well, and that's what was going to be my next question to you. I mean, why do you really think that is? I mean, we're in business.
Yeah.
Why is it that you think, and I mean, everybody on, that's watching this, exactly how we do things. We don't beat around the bush. I don't care who you are. Why do you think that most of the successful people in our sales space, not just in life insurance, but in sales period, a lot of the people at the higher up and a lot of people that are successful are not good people.
Yeah.
They feed on other people's weaknesses. They, guys like Wes Watson, for example, guy, ton of energy, great coaching program, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of what I've seen and what I've read and what I know about him, a lot of it's just bullshit, and a lot of people, and that's for not just him. There's a lot of people, that are out there that are influencers that they're just good at really faking it.
Yes.
Why do you think that those are the guys that have the most success?
So it depends on how you measure success. You know what I mean? And so it's like I met Wes a couple times. He's pretty aligned in regard to like what he portrays on and off camera. Right. But I also agree with the influencer industry is not a sustainable industry. You know what I mean? So it's like that's not something that I believe is going to withstand the test of time. And more importantly, even if it does financially, I mean legacy-wise of like what are you truly building and how are you impacting lives on a genuine basis and making people better and providing a legitimate value through some type of product or service. But to answer your question, it's all a matter of how you measure success. And I think the reason that, our perspectives will start to identify like, man, why is this person getting this and getting that? And it almost looks like they're ahead of you or ahead of us is because
they've created that picture and that image.
They've created that picture and image, but more so it's like a majority of people are poor because of the imagery, because of the mindset, because of the environment they're subjected to, but they subject themselves to. And poor people are impressed with surface level materials. You know,
Right. The
poor people are
cars,
impressed with that.
right.
But when you get around wealthy people, and poor people are impressed with $1 million.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're impressed with the million. So I even label the millions of dollars as poor. I look at myself as like, dude, this is poor. I've made a couple $1 million over the last, few years in the insurance industry. I'm like, dude, this is poor.
Yeah, because you're around high level people now.
I'm getting around higher level people, and I'm realizing super wealthy people are impressed with just few things. They're impressed with character. They're impressed with consistency.
Right.
They're impressed with you doing the right thing always, not when it just makes sense,
Right.
not when it just pays you, not when it's just in front of a camera. Like
Right.
off camera, are you still leaving a good tip? Off camera, are you still being respectful to your mother? Off camera, are you still loving your girl and being loyal and being who you say you are to these individuals that you're charging a monthly subscription for your coaching?
Right.
Like,
And
are you
that's
really
the one
being that person?
Right. And that's what I did like about Wes is that
Yeah.
he stands on his business. Like coming from, the prison life and, being around that, you
Yeah.
gotta stand on 10 toes.
Well, the thing is we don't like, I don't fully know. I've met him a couple times outside of camera and everything like that. But the thing is nobody has a camera on us 24/7.
Right.
Like you don't know. I don't know
Exactly.
what you do off camera. You don't know what I do off camera. But how we are able to start to measure somebody's success is the people that we get to spend the most time with. They are our cameras.
Right.
And they reflect who you are. Just ask about me. Ask about you. If I really want to figure somebody out very quickly, I start asking and I look who you have supporting you and have around you.
Right.
And I start asking my people that are credible, and I'll call up my boys or I'll check my boys and I'll be like, okay, does he follow him? Does he follow her? Because then I'll start to get an idea, because I've got a pretty decent network right now of like I can kind of pinpoint people to people and like kind of associate, oh, that dude's just a low level person. That's somebody that's feeding off insecurities, weaknesses, is just taking shortcuts.
Right.
The shortcuts will always cut you short.
Right.
So I always look at that as like, I think on this so often. So the poor people are impressed with the shortcuts. They're impressed with doing things on a surface level and taking advantage of the masses, the sheep. They're the king of the sheep. But if you
Right.
want to be the king of the lions, if you want to be the king of the 1%ers, the people that are at like the absolute top, the real top,
The guy's actually doing shit.
the guys that are actually doing shit and building shit, it's patience, it's praying, it's legitimate work, and being willing to eat shit for years, decades.
And that's what's something that, coming from the background that you come from, I come from, that has been like something to grasp is $1 million is really, it's part of that quote unquote American dream.
Yeah.
You feel like you make $1 million and you made it. Well, hate to break it to you, $1 million, once you get it, it's a lot of money at first, but once you've seen it, it's like, okay, well, now I have $1 million lifestyle.
Yeah.
I got to afford what it costs to be a millionaire. I have to invest in my business. I have to, invest into other assets and things like that. For you, building the business how you have, I mean, growing to that next level, for entrepreneurs out there, what has really been the difference maker between you and guys that are similarly successful as you, but aren't as sustainable? They haven't sustained success, because that's what I really think is success. Is it's not somebody who can go and make, a couple $1 million and like
Who stays relevant? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of one-hit wonders.
Longevity, exactly. Who's staying relevant the longest? I mean, what has really done that for you?
It's the constant development, and not just it. A lot of people, especially in today's day and era, with all of these online coaches that are just selling push-ups and cold tubs and, read this book and read that book. Like that's all phenomenal. That's the foundation. The personal development has absolutely been the foundation, but it's the obsession. It's the blind obsession and this energy within me that's like, dude, I'm just possessed with this vision of building and being more. You know what I mean? There is no destination in my mind. I'm locked in on creating and building more. And especially when you understand that business is a byproduct of people. Right. We determine the value of what things are in this world. You know what I mean? Like we look at paper and we say that's worth $100. You know what I mean? We look at properties and we say that's worth millions of dollars. We look at materials and we say that's worth X amount. And we look at people's businesses and we literally value and go through valuation processes of people's businesses and determine what they're worth. So when you start to win hearts and you start to win people through genuinely being a good person, then you've mastered sales and business. Like
Right.
sales and business has always been one thing, just winning people's hearts. And you can only, like, when I studied the leaders and I studied all the presidents, the ones that were most influential and had the most relevance and the most sustainability and that we are still impacted by today, every leader, every single leader, no matter their color, no matter their background, no matter their, like, literally, there was a common denominator. It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't the ones that had the most decorative military experience. It wasn't the ones that knew multiple languages. It wasn't even the ones historically that conquered nations like Alexander the Great.
Right.
The one thing that they all had in common of a super powerful man, a super powerful woman, was relatability. When you can look at somebody in the eyes, into their soul, and say, I know how you feel. I've felt the same way. I've gone through what you've gone through. Then you can start to win their heart. And then you can start to lead. That's why people were so impacted by Barack Obama. And I'm not political, and I really don't care about Barack Obama. Like, just because I'm a light skin, don't just think like, oh, you like Barack Obama. Like, I really could give a fuck less. You know what I mean?
Like, he was just a good person.
Yeah.
People.
But that's why people loved him, dude, because he could make, even, because there's some good guys that are like, these online coaches are good at making you feel the falsified relatability.
Right. Rather than that real connection. Really
real relatability, that shit comes out over time. You can start to be like, I thought you said you knew what it was like to get a chargeback. You've never had a chargeback. I thought you knew what it was like to get the door slammed in your face. I thought you said you knew what it was like to get hung up on, to get told no. All of these rejections, all of the objections that you've got, like, I thought you knew.
Right.
You can't fake that shit.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I really love from going from door to door to being in this space. You can find out who's faking very fast.
Oh, instantaneously.
And I think that was one of the biggest reason why I switched over from door to door was I am chasing that feeling, or not that feeling, but I guess you could say I'm chasing the comment that someone gives to me when they say, like, if I'm having a bad day, and Daniel said this not too long ago, is someone telling you changed my life.
Yeah.
That's what I'm chasing.
Yeah.
Is someone being able to come up to me.
That's how you get wealthy.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's really why I'm into it. I mean, money is a tool.
Yeah, literally.
It's nothing
hammers
more
and
than
nails.
that. Exactly. All it is you just working hard.
Yeah.
And once you figure that out, it's now you have to have something bigger. My why is my daughter, my family.
Yeah.
But it's also my agents, making sure that while I'm changing my life, their life is being elevated too. And I feel like if you don't have that, you're realistically just a piece of shit.
Yeah, 1,000%.
You're not helping. If you're not actually helping people outside of making money, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Especially in this space. And for you, I mean, you've been at your company for a very long time. I mean, I know relatability and keeping guys connected to you. What has really kept guys from going? Because we've talked about it for a little bit. What has really, you think, kept guys from going to other companies? Like you said, there's other opportunities out there that pay better or, have better contracts, whatever it is. Is it people buying into your systems, or is it people buying into Tristan?
Yeah, people always buy into you. You know what I mean? So it's like, at the end of the day, though, it's also a balance and an acceptance. I came to the realization probably 5 or 6 years ago at a very young age of like 20 years old, 19 years old, of realizing that nothing in this world is permanent. As humans, we almost create a level of anxiety from our lack of control. But you destroy your anxiety through two things: through accepting you have control over nothing but self, and through activity. I tell my guys every day, I was like, listen, you start to overthink when you underwork. You underwork, you overthink. But in addition to that, when you start to control the things outside of your control, you also create anxiety. I don't control keeping anybody on this earth. So I look at everything has an expiration date. There's only one thing guaranteed in this life. That's death. I don't own anybody. So people choose to be with me. I look at every day as like a season. You know what I mean? Like, if we got another day together, we got another season together. And it's my job to bring as much value to you as possible. And I let everybody know, and this is what separates me from the industry, is because even though there's better things out there, there's always going to be better out there. People know my relationship isn't based off a contract. It's not based off you generating revenue for me and my business.
What you can provide to me money-wise,
That's where people get connected with me. I've had so many people tell me happy birthday today that no longer work in my business, and we're like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Send memes to each other. We're cool. We're chill. You can call me up. And like that's the separator. Because most people in our business, you've only been in it for a year.
Yeah.
So you don't fully know yet, but you've been in sales for 2,
Right.
3, 4 years.
Yeah, as soon as you leave that relationship,
Yeah,
most of the time it's just gone.
Yeah, you leave somebody in sales. You leave a sales leader that is, and usually like that's how you can start to tell who's a dog or not. Because a sales leader that got out of the field and that's completely codependent on their sales team to develop to just produce their revenue and their lifestyle for them, they're just soft. You're scared to go sell, bro. Yeah. Like I'm so secure and confident in my ability to sell that like I don't care if everybody left. You know why?
Right.
I've made hundreds of thousands selling myself.
Right.
I can get it all back, and more importantly, I don't own human beings. I don't look at myself as Jesus. I don't have a God complex. I have a human complex. Yeah. You're a human. I'm a human. I don't care if they put a B in my bank account right now or if there was $0 in my bank account right now. You're a human. I'm a human. I'm not better than you. I'm not worse than you. We're all learning and evolving together. Right. I've got things to add. You got things to add. Let's go rock. You know what I mean? There's no other way to live life.
Yeah, no, and it's funny you did say that because so within my year of being in the business, the company I'm currently at is where I started. And in the process of that, I was moving to another company that was kind of just starting up with a group of people that I started with. And I thought, I mean, to the T, and I don't trust people very easily at all. I thought to a T these people would go to war for me, 1,000%.
Yeah.
And as soon as I made a decision that I thought was better for me, my family, and my team, it was fuck you, fuck this.
Yeah.
You're a snake. And
You're not loyal.
It was 5 minutes ago before I told you this. We were the closest people you would have ever thought. And now because I'm making a decision that I think is going to be better for me and my family, now I'm this and that.
Yeah.
I am happy that happened though, because, you know, it's something that I feel like in the industry we're in specifically, we run into that a lot is because people think because, you know, you're my upline and, you know, you're the person that's training me and mentoring me that, like you said, like you think you own me.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, the difference between a lot of people that are successful in this industry that I feel in my first year of experience is the people that look at people as a dollar sign and the people that look at people as people.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, just trying to get that adjustment and really gain that knowledge of how can I separate myself. And that was going to be my question to you is, you know, starting where I'm at and being from what I've seen, I feel like a lot of the people in multiple different companies that I've seen aren't good people. I mean, do you feel like you have to be that good, genuine person, or do you feel like you need to be like a little bit scummy to get to the top, to really be that successor at the top of a business?
No, so there's levels, and no level in the upward trajectory of legitimate success is you being scummy. So these individuals don't realize your acquisition of materials and dollars is not a representation of your level of success. Right. Your acquisition of actually, in my measurement of success, of winning the right people's hearts, like I don't got the money that I want to have right now, but I got people in my corner that people making more money than you could imagine.
Right.
They're in my corner, not their corner.
Exactly.
It's because of the correlation of character of, hey, we recognize what you're building, who you are, the shortcuts you're not taking, how you treat people off camera. We heard you did this, we heard you did that, and didn't say nothing about it. We want to be behind you. We want to support you. We want you in our circle. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like there is no in the trajectory again of success. There is no scumminess of like it doesn't work. You know what I mean? So it's like yes, you make mistakes, but where you kind of it's not a matter of you getting rid of the mistake, but where you continue to like rise in that upward trajectory of success is owning up to your mistakes.
Right.
So especially if you're the type that you take the shortcuts, you're just a scummy individual that just, it's usually an insecurity, especially, I hate the word upline because like nobody in the business world, sales world is ever allowed, like they're not allowed to call me boss, upline, like it gives me a super cringe, you know, especially like, you know, we're out like in public and someone's like, this is my upline, like,
no,
you know what I mean? Like we're just boys, bro. Like you got a 1099, I got a 1099.
Right.
They give me a percentage of the revenue, so I look at myself as a shareholder. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, if I'm a shareholder, if I'm getting a percentage of the revenue that you're contributing to this company,
Right.
I work for you, bro.
Exactly.
You're my upline.
Right.
You
Because
know,
you're the one that's producing.
so there's a lot of stupid people in sales because they'll have a massive sales team. They'll get a 5 to 25% spread, and they'll think, I'm some big upline. No, dummy, you're a downline. You have 100
You're
people you
depending
have to
on them.
serve.
Yeah.
You're depending on them. You're codependent on them. We remove why do you get so emotional when you lose an agent? Because you're codependent upon that person contributing to your
Producing
business.
revenue.
So it's almost like when people pray to God after something horrible happens. You know what I mean? So
You
it's
gotta
like
pray during the good, the bad, the void, everything.
so it's leadership 101. It's like love your people and serve your people and treat your people like they're trying to leave. You know, I just wake up every day like I'm gonna love you like someone out there is flirting with you and wants you to go date them.
It's trying to
know
pull
what
you
I
away
mean?
from
Yeah.
you.
And I tell my girl that all the time. It's like for the rest of my life, I love this girl to life. And I tell her all the time, it's like for the rest of my life, I plan on pursuing you. Like I gotta go get you every single day. I gotta go earn you every single day. I'm not worried about a single soul. You know what I mean? There's billionaires in my life. That's not how she's wired. But how I'm wired as a king in my mind is I want to wake up every single day and I want to earn you when we're 25 years old and when we're 85 years old. I'm gonna date you.
Yeah.
Every day I'm gonna wake up and serve you and earn you like
As
like
if
it's
it
day one.
Day one, you're trying to win her over.
That's how you do every
That's
relationship,
exactly
though,
how
bro.
my grandma taught me.
You know what I mean?
You
Like-
gotta win her over every day.
Every
or you're
day.
gonna lose her just like that.
You're gonna lose her every day. You gotta wake up, but that's how you do business as well. It's like I gotta like hit my guys up today and be like, "Hey, dog, like, what can I do better for you today?" And then when you can align like when you can deliver and not just ask that, because that's also that fake shit too. Like you could just ask, be like, "What can I do better for you?" But like,
And
how
then
can
not
I
act on
and
it.
then not deliver? When like getting rich is figuring out. I just put this in my notes. I was gonna make content on this when I got home. Getting rich is simple. It's people have one thing going on in their mind at all times. This is how we're all biologically wired because it's how we survive. It's the fight or flight mode that also creates a question of what's in it for me. So you walk into a room, what's in it for me to protect yourself and provide for yourself.
Right.
That's the question every human being is always asking. When you can help people answer that question, you get rich. But when you can deliver to people in answering that question consistently,
That's when you become wealthy.
that's when you get wealthy.
Yeah. Well, and then something that's always been like a real mystery to me is, I mean, this was your first job, right, outside of high school?
I mean, if you don't consider the UPS as a legitimate job, that outside of high school, yes.
so
yeah.
you-
I
you've
went
had
straight into insurance.
Yeah, so you've had a 9 to 5. And this is priceless to me, and you'll probably agree with this. Nobody can fire me.
yeah,
I don't have a boss.
yeah,
And I don't think I've ever been able to really wrap my head around how somebody is okay with somebody else dictating their future,
yeah.
dictating whether or not they're going to get a bonus, dictating whether or not, they're going to be able to buy that house. I just why do you think it is society? Because I feel like as an 18-year-old, as soon as you graduate high school, the number one thing you should be doing is trying to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Getting into sales, whether it's doing door-to-door, whether it's getting into like a retail sales job, something that is making you like maximize who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you just continue to work this 9 to 5 slave labor, which I believe being a blue collar worker, busting your ass is great. Those are the people that pave the way for this country.
Yeah.
But I also feel like you're just constantly stuck in that quote unquote rat race.
I think it should still be capitalist based, though. I think because everyone's in sales.
Right.
Most people
Some
are just
portion.
selling. So everyone is in sales, and everybody is an entrepreneur. It's just most people are selling themselves for $10 an hour. You are accepting, you're bartering your value, your worth, your life for $10 an hour, 3 days paid vacation, 3 sick days,
Right.
and a
couple
401k.
weeks off every once in a
Yeah.
while. Yeah.
Exactly.
But why do you think that is though?
So I know why it is, and it's unfortunate because I was doing a little research on this a week ago, and I probably post this once a month for the last couple years. The number one thing that kills the most people in the entire world, if you were to look at it like medically speaking and like accurately speaking, not even like in-depth research, it would be sugar. You know what I mean? It'd be like cardiovascular disease it's literally killed billions of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you really truly like simplify it and we just break this down for everybody, the number one thing that kills the most people is fear.
Yep.
Because you don't die when you go to the grave. You die when you
years
give up.
before that.
You
Yeah.
die when you give up on your dreams. Every single kid, you cannot tell me that as you don't remember those imaginative years. You were going to the NFL.
There's
you were
not a
going to
single
Yale,
human being.
You know what I
No.
mean? Every human being, the girls, you were gonna do this, you were gonna do that, you were gonna create your fashion line, whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Some
every
point in
child.
between.
And what ends up happening is the educational system in this world that has created this machine of creating sheep is just indoctrinating kids, drugging them.
It's just
you know what I
squeezing
mean?
everything out of you.
Squeezing everything out of them and conditioning them. Hey, it's good to have an imagination when you're super young because we don't really care what you're saying and doing. We just want you occupied. But now as you start getting older, middle school, they start to implement the trades. Hey, you're going to go be a plumber. You're going to go do this. Forget about being an astronaut. Forget about owning your own business. Forget about going and be some athletic superstar. And then you really start to hone in on, you're going to be an English teacher. You know, this is where I talk to people. It's like, we are conditioning our entire like society to stop dreaming and stop believing.
Right.
And so the really people die and they give up and they become essentially like just brainwashed by this mindset
Right.
in their teens.
Yeah. I feel like most people typically, spiritually die between the ages of 14 and 21.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is just because, like you said, someone is planting that seed in you day in and day out.
Yeah.
And like, if you can't realize, like, so my freshman year of high school, I was like, and I've talked about this multiple times, like I was predicted to be that next guy.
Yeah.
Like in football, I was the highest recruited guy. My freshman year, I had offers out the ass and I got hurt. And I moved to another school. I'm in a wheelchair for probably 6 months because I had surgery. And my teacher would tell me every single day, because I was a hooper and I played football at the same time. And I told my teacher every day, I said, hey, whether you believe me or not, I'm going to be the next Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. And my teacher would tell me every day, like, are you crazy?
Yeah,
like,
think realistic.
Yeah, like you got to think realistic. Like you're in a wheelchair right now, Chris, like the odds that you recover from this injury. And it's like, I started to kind of believe it
Yeah.
for a while because he was right. I was in a wheelchair. I was like,
Yeah.
how am I going to go from all the way back here at square one and be at square 100
Yeah.
in, a matter of 2 years, So I started to slowly start letting myself die, and I felt it. One night, I kid you not, I went home and I was talking to my brother. My name's all in the papers from, my freshman year, my junior year, and I'm seeing it, and I'm like, what happened? Where did I die off at? And I kid you not, I sat there with my brother. We're sitting in my room, and I just broke down crying.
Yeah.
And he was like, what's going on? I was like, dude, I have these crazy dreams, and everybody keeps reminding me how crazy they are and unrealistic they are. And I never once ever paid attention to it, but all of a sudden I am. And I'll never forget this. My brother told me, he said, no matter what it is, your success isn't going to be measured by whether or not you're carrying a football or not in 10 years. It's going to be measured about what you did as a man, whether it's being a successful athlete, being a successful businessman. He said, no matter what you do, just be better.
Yeah.
Just be better than what you are the previous day. He said, the only way you're going to lose in any factor is if you quit. And and Daniel said this too, and I believe this, and I've done this my whole life. I got a list. I got a list with everybody's name on it. Whoever said you won't be shit, whoever said like you're not going to make this happen, like, okay.
Have you ever read Choose Your Enemies Wisely, Patrick David?
I've seen it. I haven't read it.
You got to read it.
Pretty good book?
Probably like top 5, top 10 books for me.
Yeah.
It's basically, you don't even got to read it. Just paraphrase, you know what I mean? What it says is just finding those individuals that said something, did something to you or to a loved one, and just like it really imprinted on your life of like, oh no, I have to prove. It's not even about. I always tell people this: don't worry about proving them wrong. Just prove you right.
Yeah, and that's what it is for me. Is it's just really, I want them to understand. Like, I'm glad you told me that because now I just need to prove myself that I can do.
Yeah.
And that's always been big for me. As an athlete, as an individual, it's helped me get through it.
1000%.
Yeah, because I never understand like why people think like you shitting on somebody else's dreams, like, does that make you sleep good at night? Like, did someone shit on your dreams? Is that why you're doing it to somebody else?
Yeah.
It's always been kind of like a mystery to me, especially in sales.
Yeah.
I feel like salesmen are probably the most ambitious people in the world right next to athletes because like we're taking the most risk every single day.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get up and work, if you don't get up and chase it every day, you're going to lose.
1000%.
And I like trying to wrap my head around the fact that like people are okay with just like stopping dreaming. Like I talked to a really good friend of mine that I went to college with, and she bartends and stuff like that. But like probably like one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. Like 4.0 student in college, 4.0 student in high school, and just working behind a bar.
Yeah.
When we were in high school, like she was talking about opening the business and all this stuff, and like now she's just okay with sitting behind a bar. And I was like, I texted her, I was like, you know, the saddest thing, it's not that you're bartending, it's that you've told me all these crazy things that you dream of, that you want to do, and now you're just fine, like not chasing them anymore.
Yeah.
Like you're fine sitting behind that bar and, you know, clocking in and clocking out. You're fine with going home saying, shit, I'm broke, but it's okay. I'm not going to do anything to change it. I'm just going to clock into my shift tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, like that's always been something that has kind of been unfathomable. I think that's the word I should use. To me is just like how you can be okay with just dying before you're actually buried. I think that the graveyard is like you said, the saddest place in the world, because that's where 99% of people's dreams died.
1,000%.
You know, but I mean, for you, I mean, staying invested into the business, I mean, because you work for a pretty big company.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest determining factor for bringing people in? I mean, are you hiring or partnering with everybody?
Yeah.
Or are you picking and choosing who's really going to be a good fit for your system?
So I've got a saying that quantity breeds quality. So like if you were to look at who I was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, getting into the industry, you know, I would be 100 times less valuable than what I am now.
Right.
You know, so I always tell people, don't judge people for where they're at, but look at them for where they can be. So I don't try to make massive assumptions right off rip, but I am deeply looking at, like, there's certain things that are just like hard to grow over time. I try to look at different character-based things if I'm involved in the personal interview with bringing somebody into my business, of just like, what's their energy, what's their demeanor. You know, hopefully maybe it's a younger man, younger girl, and I can kind of get an idea of like, you know, how are they treating their parents, their loved ones, and things like that. You know, if you're disrespectful to mom and dad, if you're a dirty individual, like when we have physical offices, you know, I like to go out and look at the cars and see, like, peek in the car and see who's dirty. Yeah, so it's like, because I can kind of get an idea of like who's going to be a high caliber, high level individual, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So, you know, I like to give people chances. I like to think of myself as merciful, because I think of all the times in life that I know of that I've gotten mercy, and I wonder about all the times in life that I don't even know of that I got mercy and I shouldn't have. And I'm like, man, someone gave me mercy. Somebody gave me another chance. Somebody out there gave me blinded mercy. I had no idea.
Gave you that opportunity.
Gave me that opportunity, and I never want to be the one that, like, there's a parable in the Bible that, you know, talks about, I don't know how, like, God exactly put it, but basically about like a king that had a servant that owed him money, and he was going to throw him in jail, but the servant begged, please don't throw me in jail, please don't throw me in jail, please don't throw me in jail. Can you just wipe my slate clean? He's like, no, you got to pay me back. And he just kept begging, and he's like, all right, I'm going to wipe your slate clean, but don't let it happen again. But the servant had a servant that owed him money, and the servant was like, please don't throw me in jail, please don't throw me in jail, please don't throw me in jail. And he was like, no. Threw the servant in jail after his slate was just wiped clean by the king. And he's got a wife, he's got a family, like, threw him in jail. And the king found out. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, he owed me money. You owed me money. I just wiped your slate clean. What are you doing?
I gave you the mercy.
I just gave you the mercy. He's like, you know what? You're going to jail. I'm letting that guy out and going to bless him. So it's like, I never want to be the guy that got blessed, and then, like, I turn around and be like, you owe me, or you did this, or like, so I'm always thinking in my head, like, kind of paranoid of like, I fear God more than I fear nothing, but I fear God.
It's the only thing you should fear.
That's all I fear.
Yeah.
You know?
All knowing, all powerful for a reason.
And my Jewish girlfriend a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what people don't understand with life, and not to be, you know, biblical or anything by any means, there's a book written for a reason.
Yes.
Follow it.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Follow it, read it, and I promise you, life gets put on easy mode.
Yeah.
And it's designed that way for a reason. I mean, anybody that, and I'm not saying you got to go to church. I'm not saying you got to read the Bible every day.
Yeah.
Like, just go download a little Bible app. You know,
the best church is just being a good human being. Sometimes the worst things happen in these churches. You know what I mean? That's why
I don't go to church
I
anymore
physically
because of
don't
things that
go.
I've heard.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like I have the best church experiences just being a good human being. It's almost like the sales. It goes back to the sales where it's like all these leaders that talk about, all these great sales tips and pieces of advice and all this, but these are the same leaders that are scared to get on the phones. You know what I mean? You're scared to lead from the front. You're scared to sell. You're scared to do it yourself. And it's like, same deal. It's like, there's goody two shoes here at the church. Like, I'm really him outside of like these walls of a church. You know what I mean? I really
Right.
will help that homeless person
Right.
and not need anybody to know about it.
Exactly.
Like
Not looking for the gratification.
I don't
from
need
somebody
that,
else.
dog.
Yeah. And that's how I was kind of raised.
Yeah.
Like I've been in that position.
Yeah.
As a young individual, like I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like
Yeah.
to live out of a car.
Yeah.
And the thing that it's just so crazy to me is people look at homeless people and people that are struggling like they're peasants.
Yeah.
Like they're not another human being that ran into a hardship that they just couldn't overcome.
Yeah.
And it goes back to just willingly giving. Like I don't if I got $100 in my pocket and I see a homeless guy, hey, take the $100. You need it a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
Like and once you start giving, like just giving with no not
No
looking for
expectation.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah.
no expectation, not looking
Yeah.
for anything in return, like that's when life and God start to really, really work for you.
Yeah.
And
God will always outgive you.
1,000%.
You know what I mean? I give and somehow he always sends it back tenfold
Exactly.
when you least expect it.
Right. Well, I mean, and I feel like that's why a lot of people have a lot of fear coming into sales.
Yeah.
And it's just that it's that thought or that stigma that people put in their mind and plant their own seed thinking that because like it worked out for this kid because he's the rich white kid or he has a better opportunity.
Yeah.
No, I mean we all have the same opportunity. If you wake up in the morning and you're breathing and you can see and you can talk and you can hear, like you have the same opportunity as the next individual who's making millions of dollars every day.
Yeah.
So I mean that would lead to my next question. I mean, when it comes to your recruiting, I know you said you give everybody an opportunity, but what are the three things you think, you shouldn't want to get into entrepreneurship if you have? Because the way I look at it, if you're lazy, probably shouldn't be in entrepreneurship. If you're not disciplined enough in yourself, you probably shouldn't be in it. And then it's also like at the same time, like if you can't buckle down for 24 hours, like whether it's your eating habits, waking up on time, constantly working a work schedule. I mean, what for you is something you would say, like, if you have like attributes that you have as a human being, what would you say is probably a bad idea to get into entrepreneurship?
I think it's only one thing. When I study the super wealthy, like I don't like to look at anything less than $1 billion right now. Like all the books, like I'm done reading books if it's not written on a billionaire from a billionaire. Like everything I'm studying right now is just $1 billion mindset, $1 billion energy.
Right. Yeah.
From studying these individuals, there's one common denominator on entrepreneurial success, on winning in life, and whether we measure that in a matter of business and sales, or whether we measure that athletically, or whether we measure that in prisoners of war that survive. Like I don't know if you've ever read this book, A Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. It's an incredible book about a Holocaust survivor, and but they all have one thing in common. And then I'll go back. It's not the intelligence. It's not the strength. It's not what school. It's not the accomplishments. It's not even because this one had that diet. This one did these push-ups. This one woke up at this time. This one prayed to Allah. That one prayed to Jesus. It's one thing. It's vision. If you don't have a vision, you have nothing. Right. The Bible says people without vision perish. That is so true. It goes right back to like, where do people die? It's a combination of like, well, what is fear? Fear is really just the absence of vision. What are you afraid of? You're afraid because you have no idea of where you could go. But I always remind people, look how far you've come. Right. Imagine how far you can go. Look, and more importantly, because that's just our own personal, selfishness. But imagine, like, think of this: if you're a believer, look how far God has brought you. If you're 20 years old and you're watching this, you take 20 and you multiply it by 365. You've been alive for like 7,000 something days. Right. You're around my age. You're 25. You can add another like 1,000 something days. You're like 21. So what is that? Like you've been alive for like 8,500 days. You know what I mean? I've been like 8,000 days. 8,000 days.
God showed up for you.
God showed up. Like, how do I measure success? I'm alive. I had food. I had water. My immediate family is alive. I got a beautiful girl.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm blessed. I'm alive. I'm 8,000 and 0. So I'm not. I don't lack vision. I don't lack that confidence of where I'm going. So if you're thinking about getting an entrepreneurship, if you're thinking about getting into sales, if you're thinking about going next level, athletically, academically, whatever it is, the most important thing is the vision.
Yeah.
You never let the vision die.
Yeah. Because
'Cause
as
then
soon as
you
it
die.
dies, it's over. Yeah. And I think that's like, for me, you know, as a young individual, I'm 25 now, but, you know, like for me, I think something that has been an adjustment is changing my mindset from, and this is really a victim mindset that a lot of people have. It's, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Instead of, this is happening for me.
Me and my girl always say this happening for you, to the dumbest shit too.
And it could be like the word, like you could stub your toe.
Yeah,
and
we'd
I'm
be
just
doing it
sitting
like
here
that.
like, it happened for me. It didn't.
I think I like dropped some soup in my Louis backpack, and I was like, "This is happening for me."
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know
and I
how.
feel like once you always look at life as like a positive outcome, like
Who cares?
it's never that deep.
Yeah,
Like
not
if
at
you're
all.
breathing and you're living, like it's never that deep. Like
Yeah.
what's deep is someone dying.
Yeah,
That's as deep as it gets.
yeah,
Like there's nothing like car accident. Yeah, it happened, but it happened for you. It was maybe
Yeah.
it was a wake up call. Maybe you needed to stop drinking, stop smoking, whatever it is. Like there's
Yeah.
always a lesson in everything, and I feel like people forget to look at that.
yeah.
People always just look at it, well, like this is the outcome. Like God's not in my favor. No,
Mm.
God woke you up today.
Yeah,
God's in your favor. You're
Yeah.
just not looking at it because he's not doing everything you want done in the time frame you want it done.
Yeah.
Everything happens in a certain time frame for a reason. And I think a lot of people want instant gratification and instant success.
yeah.
And that's what really I feel deters people from betting on themselves.
1,000%.
Is that they go and try once and it doesn't work the first time and they're like, oh, maybe try it one more time, and then they're just done.
Everybody wants to be Jeff Bezos overnight. Nobody wants to go 30 years in a garage.
Well, and that's what people don't understand. Is it Jeff Bezos or is it Zuckerberg that still drives the piece of shit Honda even when he was like a multi-billionaire?
If Bezos is driving a piece of shit Honda, he has a $200 million yacht.
Yeah.
So definitely,
It was, I forget
who
who.
cancels out. But
I think it was Bezos. He was
I could see that.
like when he was younger, and I think it was Elon too. Like when they were younger.
Oh yeah.
They were millionaires.
Yeah.
Still driving around like an
Oh, yeah,
85 Honda, and it's just like,
Dude, nobody knows, but for 3 years, last 3 years, I grossed over $2 million, and I lived out of my office, lived on the couch. I just got my first crib.
right.
I just lived out the office. You know, I told myself more so it wasn't a matter of like me not like having the bread. It was more of, as I look at it now, I was eliminating distractions because a lot of people were like, "Oh, you're super disciplined." Well, if you create an environment that you have no choice but to
to be disciplined.
24/7 be there, you know what
You
I mean?
can't
Like,
lose.
no wonder I have such an advantage on everybody. Like, you spent 2 hours a day driving to the office and getting ready. I lived there. I saved 2 hours. Multiply that by 3 years. Do the math. You know what I mean? Like, for you to catch up to me, it's gonna
gonna
take
take
a while,
time.
dog. You
I
know
think
what mean?
Kobe used to talk about that, was that the reason why he was so much better than everybody is because when everybody else is going out to the club, like the
Yeah.
night before games or after the games, like win or loss, like I'm in the gym.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna go work out for another 2-3 hours. I'm gonna get shots up. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna be back in the gym in 5 hours.
yeah,
Like that is the difference maker. It's like, I think a lot of people have this misconception that like we're all born with crazy special talents.
not at all.
Not at all. I mean, I feel like the only talent you're really born with is athleticism. I
Yeah.
feel like that's the one thing that like people are born with. I don't think
Yeah,
like you're not
people
born
have some
learning.
different genetic coding.
Yeah, like I don't think you're born like learning how to sell. I don't think you're born
Yeah.
knowing how to make $1 million. Like
Yeah.
you learn these things over time, and once people can like get a grasp on that these people didn't just wake up and millions of dollars, billions of dollars were in their bank account. I feel like that's what's going to be the next level for society.
Yeah, I agree.
That's when everything is going to change drastically for people. So like my advice to people is just understanding that you're not going to get it your first at bat. You're not hitting a home run. Like you're not Babe Ruth right away.
Yeah,
You got to start off as, that kid hitting off the tee.
yeah,
And then you start hitting the 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
yeah. Facts.
I mean, that's really my mindset on it. And what I really want to know, because I know for you, you're more so when it comes to how you talk and, how long I followed you and kind of keeping up with your business, you're very, I don't want to say biblical when you talk, but you talk as if you're a disciple of God.
Yeah,
Like you're very scripture based when you talk, how you use your words. So I feel like your definition of this is probably going to be the best one we've heard yet. For you, what do you think it takes to have a bulletproof mindset? whether that's you think it's in business and personal life, individuality as an athlete, whatever it is. I mean, what do you think that really looks like for you?
You know, for me, the bulletproof mindset is a combination of two things, and I think the foundation is your soul, your mind, however you want to, like, just that internal where it starts, obviously, because it is that mindset, but it also transcends into your physical. But I think starting with like the soul, once you get in tune with God and you realize that living is I wouldn't even say the hard part, but living is the challenge. The difficult part would be, or the easy part would be dying. You know what I mean? Like you have to accept and understand that living is meant to be a challenge. It's meant to be an obstacle. Because I was laying up maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, making over $2 million. I'm 24 years old, and I'm thinking to myself in my office, and I'm just like, why is it not getting easier? I've gotten 10,000 times better. I've read more books than people can imagine. Like, deeply read. I'm super like, I don't just say this shit to cap and impress anybody. I have no one. I don't like this.
There's no motive.
Yeah, there's no motive for that. Like,
yeah.
I've hit all the workouts. I do all the development. I've done all the sales. And it's like, but it doesn't seem like it's massively easier. And I'm thinking to myself, how can I start to remove? Like, someone texted me today, like, man, I need that stress-free life. It looks like you have. It's not stress-free, bro.
You just manage it better.
And manage it better. But I thought to myself, like, okay, what are the ways to get rid of stress? Well, you'd have to completely remove desire. If you completely remove desire, then you pursue nothing. You're nothing. You're just an object. Yeah. So you either live and have stress, or you die and have no stress. Right. So to understand that life is stress, you can just substitute stress for a blessing. It starts in that mindset and then understanding that, accepting, okay, God gave me life, but he balanced it with obstacle. I can label it obstacle, or I can label it opportunity. Right. Weak people will label it as an obstacle. Right. Strong people, thank God this is happening for me, it's an opportunity. But then that transcends into the physical, because that sounds good until you're getting punched in the mouth. Like, you probably couldn't see right now, but like, bridge of my nose is busted up right now from sparring. And I spar every Saturday. And I think to myself sometimes, I want to quit. I'm out of oxygen. I can't breathe. My nose is busted up.
Yeah, I'm getting my ass beat.
I'm getting my ass beat, and I want to quit. And I'll be in the corner in between rounds, and there's one thing, and it's more aggressive, especially if you label me as like, the scripture and everything like that. And it's aggressive. You know what I mean? Excuse my vulgarity, but I just tell myself, even if I'm never down. I'm not putting my knees down or anything like that, but I'm in the corner and I'm just telling myself over and over and over again, like a sick psychopath, just get the fuck up, get the fuck up, get the fuck up, get the fuck up. Just over and over and over. I'm not down. I've not been knocked. I've been sparring for a little bit. I haven't been knocked down, taken out, none of that. But it's just, and I think of my dad, as my dad wasn't in my life for a long period of time, but for the small period of time he indoctrinated me with just this warrior mindset. We watched 300. We watched Scarface. It was just 2 years of like him making me into like just this little absolute soldier, bro. Yeah. And so I think as a man, all of us, regardless of the relationship we have with our dads, we want to impress our dads. Even if like you have a relationship with mine. Right. Even if you don't got one, you're thinking in your head, deep down, I think psychologically we're all thinking like, I want my dad to be proud of me. And so when you're fighting in life and you have that bulletproof mindset, it starts with that understanding and acceptance that life is the challenge. It's a blessing from God. But then it goes into that physical warrior mindset of you have a lineage to protect. Right. Do you remember your great-great-grandfather?
Not really. My great-great-grandfather was gone before I even.
Do you remember your great-grandfather?
Yeah.
But the great-great we're already forgetting. Don't be the great-great-grandfather that got forgotten.
Right.
That's what keeps me up. That's what gets me like obsessed. Like I don't care about the money, and all of that is a byproduct of you becoming such a legend, such a hero in your own movie. Like everybody, like I love movies, but at the same time, I'm so freaking competitive. I want to leave this earth creating the best movie there ever was. If you as a man don't walk through this life thinking, why don't I become the next Superman? Why don't I become the next Batman? Like, I love superhero movies. If I don't leave this earth and have a competitive movie with
Right.
these individuals, like, I'm Superman, dog.
Right.
Like, I look at Superman, I'm like, I'm beat the shit out of Superman. I'll outsell Superman. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's no way.
100%.
So it's like, that's the bulletproof mindset. You have to have this mindset of, I'm going to get up. Life is a blessing. And I'm going to create a movie that's never been created before. Because you're making a movie regardless. You're either going to be one of those, what do they call them? NPCs or something? That's what you want to be, bro?
Yeah, the bots. You
Yeah,
wanna be
that's
one
what
of the
you
bots?
choose, bro.
Right.
Like, you choose being a bot when you choose, like, oh, I'm gonna sleep in, I'm gonna do what I want, I'm gonna take the easy route, I'm not gonna make more calls. Oh, my people quit on me, especially sales leaders. My people quit on me. Now I have to go back to the 9-to-5 world. Do you forget where it all started?
You started it.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, dude. Like,
Life is rebuilding. Life is you going to war.
right.
You know?
Waking up every day and just fighting.
That's all it is. It's a blessing. I don't want it any other way. Like, I tell my girl all the time, like, if I ever stop pursuing greatness in every aspect of my life,
Check me.
check me.
Yeah.
That's like one of my most viral clips right now is love me, baby, don't support me. If I'm being soft, love me.
Right.
Don't support me. I'm here to be a king.
Right. I'm not here to live amongst.
Not at all, bro. I want to be in the Coliseum. Most people, they want to go to the Coliseum and they want to go to the UFC and they want to watch the fights. I
Right.
want to bleed. I want to get in the ring, bro. Lace me the fuck up.
They're consumers. They're
Consumers.
Not
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
put me in there.
It's a crazy world we live in, brother, and I'm glad you gave your insight on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a beautiful viewpoint, 100%, and I definitely agree with a lot of things. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of individuals out there that they won't admit it, regardless if you have a relationship with your dad or not. It is like huge. I feel like not having that father figure in your life can be detrimental.
Yeah.
You know, becoming a man on your own is not easy,
No.
and
Especially with social media and
Oh,
all the
my
rappers and everything like
goodness
that. All
gracious.
the
I mean,
images being portrayed right now.
well, creating the facade that, you know, life is what it is. I mean, and everybody thinks that these rappers are just invincible and all these influencers are just invincible. No, they bleed and die just like you can.
Yeah.
All they did was just go up to the plate every single time. They took 2-3 strikes, but if they struck out, they still got up and they went
Yeah.
for their next at bat. And, you know, I think, you know, trying to grab that and really understand that. I mean, life is not a difficult equation. It's really not. Wake up, brush your fucking teeth, wipe your ass, bust your ass every day, eat,
Yeah.
work, sleep, repeat.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and, you know, coming from, you know, the backgrounds that we both come from, I think where we're going and, you know, where we're currently at, I look at each year of my life as a level. You know,
Yes.
right now I'm on level 25.
Yeah.
You know, if I want to get to, you know, 26, 27, all the way up to, you know, 80s and 90s, I got to win this level.
Yeah.
You know, and once you start looking at life as pretty much just a game, it becomes that.
Yeah.
Just play the game better than everybody else, and you will be the winner at the end of the game.
1000%.
But I appreciate you for coming on, bro.
Appreciate you, bro. Fire.
Thank you. It was an awesome, definitely awesome.
Incredible.
Guys, Tristan is electric, as you can
Let's
see.
go.
Turned 26 today. Happy birthday to him. Make sure you guys follow him on Instagram, Windy City Tristan, right?
Yes, sir. When you see Tristan.
Definitely be seeing him in the future. If you guys ever need, you know, any advice on sales, if you're
Yeah.
looking to, you know, get into the sales world, contact myself, contact Tristan.
Yes.
Both very, very great opportunities for, you know, anybody. We partner with people. We don't
Yeah.
hire.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking to change
Makes
lives.
people
out
feel
here.
way better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I genuinely treat people like partners, and I get the vibe that you do as well.
Yeah, like
know?
for example, Joe. You know,
Yeah.
he was working in Tampa, and
Shout out Joe.
yeah, shout out Joe Fedor,
Hey,
man.
if you want to partner with Joe, where can they find Joe?
Exactly. If you want to partner with Joe, find him on Instagram, Joe Fedor.
Joe Fedor on Instagram.
He's an awesome guy. I flew him out here from Tampa.
Come on.
A lot of crazy things happened to him in the
Yeah.
last like 2-3 months, and
Yeah.
you know, kid's been out here trying to change his life. I
Let's
kid
go.
you not, he literally like packed up his bags in 24 hours and said, "I'm going to come to California."
That's what it
with
takes
you."
to be special, bro.
And you know,
That's what it takes.
It's been that since
Yeah.
he got down here. You know, he's
Yeah.
having good weeks. He's
Yeah.
PRing. He's doing well. So
Let's
you
go.
know,
Rolling referrals?
yep, getting
go.
everything rolling. And I mean, I think the biggest thing for individuals like Joe and people coming in is just like understanding, like, just take the risk.
Take the risk, bro.
Like-
especially in your, what are you, 21? 24? Oh, yeah, dude. It's even at 24, we're babies, bro.
Well, I think people
Take the risk now.
Well, and like we'll close off on this, and I think people get this like weird idea in their mind that like if they don't get that job, if they don't go like chase entrepreneurship, that they lost. Well, you can't lose something you never had.
Yeah, exactly.
So how are you going to lose? If you get into entrepreneurship and you fail, okay, you're right back to where you were.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
You don't know what works until you try it.
Yeah.
But yeah, brother. I hope we get you back on Bulletproof Mindset again.
1,000%, dude.
I think it's
I like this weather, and I'm excited to go explore the food scenery out here.
Yeah, definitely. Hey,
So
guys, we're in
hungry.
California, best place in the world. Like I said, reach out to us on Instagram. We'll see you guys next week.
Ciao. Sick, bro.